Cut a long story short, the track Inside of Me got onto Gifted and Māori Volume 2. Um, but the only problem was like, I'm not Māori, so all the artists on Gifted and Māori Volume 2 were all Māori, and half the album was in te reo and all that kind of stuff. And so they put Inside of Me initially on the bonus disc, where like the English tracks were on, and disc 1 was like all in te reo and all that kind of stuff, so that was cool. But then not long after, I worked with Phil and Doughboy, Philip Fuimana sadly passed away, and that was a real hard time because a lot of those artists, I guess, they didn't fall by the wayside, but you know, it was a real time of sort of like unknowing. But generously, Aaron, aka Doughboy, agreed to start working on the album that everyone knows now as Stories, Choirboy Stories. And Choirboy Stories it took some of the ideas that I'd initially written on the Get Inside the Headphones album and sort of made them from like demo versions to, you know, $20,000 tracks basically. And during that time, that was a long time, I think it was like roughly 2 years, we worked on the Stories album, and it featured some amazing New Zealand artists like the Mighty Asterix and Blackout from 44 Metaphors, Big Wills from P-Town, DJ Alphabet Head, who's like been to the World DJing Championships with P-Money back in the days, name dropping guy, nah, just kidding. Yeah, so the Choirboy Stories album, it was a lot of effort really into that album, and we made one music video, which was the No Doubt video, and that was about domestic violence and all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, so after I finished making that album, it was kind of like I got stuck. It was like, where to from now? You know, I've made this mean album with Doe, and but no one was like picking it up. You know, it was like a dope as album, a mean as album, like audibly so incredible, but no one was like picking it up. And so that was us really. That's when we parted ways. You know, I took my 500 copies of the album or something, and Doe took his 500, and we just parted ways basically. And he went and done his DJing thing, producing thing in Australia, and I was stuck with my Stories album, and that was it really. Yeah, so after that I went to Australia for a bit, came back, and I had some beat making gear, and I was like, right, I'm going to just try and crack into this production stuff myself. And then that's when I started working on the album called Love Messes With Your Head mixtape. And the theme of the Love Mess With Your Head mixtape, it was all about relationships, like stages in a relationship, you know, like the breakup, the trying to find a new missus, going clubbing, the heartbreak, you know, trying to find the right girl. That was like the theme of the Love Messed With Your Head mixtape. It was only 6 tracks, but yeah, it was pretty experimental in terms of like my beat making and my sampling and even my rhyming. And then I started working on another mixtape, a series of mixtapes actually. I worked on the Lost Art mixtape, and the unique thing about the Lost Art mixtape was I was trying to make a mixtape of all freestyles, so like every single track on the mixtape was freestyles, and like each freestyle was like a minute and a half max, just over a whole lot of beats that inspire me. That's how the Lost Art. And then I did the Purple mixtape, heaps of mixtapes, and yeah, and in the next part of this series, Get Inside the Headphones, I'm going to be talking more about what came next after those, I'll call them experimental times, where I was just mucking around with heaps of different song ideas and mixtapes.